What's up, guys? So I'm out here today and I just thought I'd do a little wrap up on this SCHF 36 Schrade survival knife.
It comes complete with a ballistic nylon sheath, the knife itself, the fire steel, and the diamond sharpening stone.
I have been using this now for almost a month, and I wanted to address a couple of thoughts with it. First of all, I think this is a great knife, especially when you consider the price point for it. Now, one thing I think that's important when doing a review or an overview on a tool is, first of all, judging it based on what its intended purpose is. In my mind, this knife is not so much a bushcraft knife as it is a survival knife. Now, having said that, a lot of common bushcraft tasks that I have used this knife for, it does do fairly well at. But one thing you should know about this knife if you're thinking about purchasing it is an incredibly heavy-duty knife. The 1095 carbon steel blade is 0.23 inches thick, which makes this thing incredibly beefy and fairly heavy. The scales on it are some kind of a high-density thermal-molded plastic. They seem to be pretty durable. I've done some pounding with the butt, and there really isn't much marring or anything to the scales, so I anticipate they would hold up really well. It is a little bit aggressive on the hand. It's probably best used with gloves. It has really aggressive jimping for the thumb, and then really aggressive jimping for the palm. The design of this blade, with the weight forward, makes it an extremely efficient chopper. There are two other models in this line that are new for 2015, I believe. One is a much larger knife. The other is similar in size to this, but it has a clip point blade. In my mind, for all-around field use, I much prefer this drop point blade with the big belly as opposed to the clip point blade. So when it comes to the fire steel on this, it seems to be a great fire steel. I can strike sparks off the spine of the knife. The striker works very well, but what worked really well is using the choil. Look at that shower of sparks. Out of the box, this knife came fairly sharp. I haven't actually done anything to the blade yet. The edge is holding up fairly nice. One of the things that I've heard a lot of criticism about this knife is the coating on the blade. The coating is starting to come off this blade in places. Personally, I don't really have a problem with the coating on it. It will come off. In the meantime, it'll help protect the blade from rust and things like that. So, what are my final thoughts on this knife after using it for a while? I think it's a fantastic knife. I think that if you were considering getting your first knife for survival and bushcraft, this is the knife I would get, and I'll tell you why. Number one, because it does all of the tasks that you'll need it to do. Is it a little heavier than you might need? Possibly. An argument could be made for that. But the price point of this knife makes it an absolute no-brainer for what I call the developmental phases of learning. When you first start bushcraft and camping, whatever you buy for your first knife, chances are you're going to use it for a while, and then you're going to make some decisions about what you like and what you don't like in a knife. That being the case, I think it makes incredibly good sense to spend $40, $35 or $40 on a knife that will function well, that will do all the things you need it to do, while you determine what types of features are really important to you in a knife. So in my mind, this knife fills the purpose of a survival knife very well. For a bushcraft knife, I would prefer something just a little bit lighter and smaller, something a little bit more nimble. But with a survival knife, it's really important not only that that knife be able to accomplish the most common tasks, but that it be able to accomplish those over an extended period of time, and also perhaps be able to accomplish some additional tasks. In my mind, one of the big dynamics in survival is the unknowns of what you may have to do with the limited amount of tools that you have. So having said that, to me, in a survival knife, it makes much more sense to have a knife that has capabilities of doing more than a knife should. Now, I get it. In a perfect world, knives are for carving, knives are for skinning, and axes are for chopping and processing large amounts of wood. I get that. But in a survival situation, you may not have your choice of tools. So if your knife is going to be your primary tool and one of the main things that you're going to make sure that you have with you, it makes sense to have a knife that's capable of doing some of those other things. So all in all, I give this knife my bomb-proof stamp of approval. For the price point, this is an incredible value. The only straight defect or complaint out of the package that I have with this is that diamond sharpening steel and the overmolding, the poor quality there. But again, you know, for well under $50, I just don't know how you can beat this knife, and I don't understand the hate it gets. So I'm having fun using it. I'm probably going to throw it in my pack and just continue using it for a while.